Welcome to this recording for the T-Level Technical Qualification in Legal Services, core component. Today, we'll be getting to know the specification. The aim of this recording is to give you an overview of the T-Level Technical Qualification in Legal Services. We will look at the core component content and the assessments that are used in that core component content. The T-Level in Legal Services includes the technical qualification and an industry placement. The requirement for English and Maths at GCSE or Level 2 functional skills has now been removed. There is no need for additional specialist qualifications to be completed for this T-Level. The technical qualification is made up of the core component and one occupational specialism. The core component covers the underpinning knowledge, concepts and skills that support threshold competence in the legal industry. It has 535 guided learning hours and is assessed through 2 externally set core assessments and an employer set project. There are 3 occupational specialist components in this technical qualification. Each are 600 guided learning hours. Students undertaking the T-Level Legal Services qualification will choose one single specialism. The occupational specialist components are OS1 is Legal Services Assistant in Business, Finance and Employment, and OS2 is Legal Services Assistant in Crime, Criminal Justice and Social Welfare. Also, coming in 2024 is OS3, which is Legal Services Assistant Private Client, which will include family law, conveyancing, property law and probate. Students also need to complete a 315-hour industry placement related to the occupational specialism selected by the student. This is not something that Pearson are involved with. Guidance from the Department of Education states that the industry placement will last a minimum of 315 hours, which is approximately 45 days, but can last longer. Employers can offer industry placements as a block, day release, or a mix of these, and part of the placement can be shared with another employer if necessary. Providers and employers are expected to work together when planning the industry placement. When planning the programme, each of these factors need to be taken into consideration. The technical qualification specification is divided into the core component and the occupational specialist component. The total qualification time and guided learning hours for this qualification and the 2 components are shown on the slide. So firstly, looking at the total qualification time. The T-Level in Legal Services has a total qualification time value of 1450. The core component has a total qualification time value of 750, and the occupational specialist components have a total qualification time value of 700. Moving on to the guided learning hours. The T-Level in Legal Services has a guided learning hour value of 1135. The core component has a guided learning hour value of 535. The occupational specialist component has a guided learning hour value of 600. So it's interesting to see that there are differences between the guided learning hours and total qualification time. This is because, as well as guided learning, there may be other required learning that is directed by tutors or assessors. This includes, for example, private study, preparation for assessment, and undertaking assessment when not under supervision, such as preparatory reading, revision, and independent research. Total qualification time and guided learning hours are assigned after consultation with users of the qualification. We will now focus on the content within the core qualification, which is all included within the first year of delivery and assessed by traditional exam and employer set project. There are 14 core content areas in the T-Level in Legal Services. The core content covers the underpinning knowledge and understanding of concepts, including theories and principles for business and law occupations, encompassed in the following content areas. As you can see within the core, there is a high level of underpinning business principles within the context of a legal environment. Essentially, this will provide students with a core understanding of how firms operate in a variety of contexts. There is also a foundation of skill building, including research skills, which will support the students in progressing to year 2 of the course. The two final elements of the core content are focused on developing the foundations of understanding in procedural and substantive legal areas, so that students are ready for the occupational specialisms. Many of these will be familiar to teachers who have previously taught law at Level 3. They include an understanding of procedural law through English legal systems and judicial review, before focusing on the foundations of substantive law in criminal, contract and tort. Students will then gain an understanding of civil procedure rules, as well as understanding how the legal services sector works. You can teach the content in any combination or order that works for you and your students. However, we would recommend that elements are delivered holistically to make the most of teaching opportunities. Each element acts as a title for that area. For example, here is element 1, the business environment. The content for the element is then divided into sub-elements. These sub-elements expand on the title to show the areas that you need to teach. So here, for example, 1.1 and 1.2 are examples of the sub-elements for element 1, the business environment. The size of the element and the number of sub-elements will vary. The size of each element depends on how much your students will need to know for that topic area. So, as a rough guide, the larger the element, the more the time should be spent teaching that area, and the greater the amount of assessment there will be. However, we recognise that some topic areas are more difficult than others and may take your students more time to understand. As a result, you will have to take this into account in your teaching team. We will now focus on the sub-element. So in this example, the sub-element is 1.1, the role of business in society. Each sub-element is expanded further. This gives you the depth and breadth of knowledge required. So here you can see bullets 1.1.1 are part of the expanded detail of the sub-element 1.1. Plus, these bullets may contain a list of factors for further expansion, all forming the content of the sub-element. The sub-element seen here is 1.2.1, common business models and organisational structures. This is a rider statement. The rider sits above the expanded content and is either a title for what is to come, or it affects and needs to be applied to the expanded content. In example 1.2.2, common business models and organisational structures, this is the title. The bullets sit under give an expansion to the title and show what to teach about the responsibilities and corporate governance. In example 13.3, the basic principles of criminal law and the sub-bullets under show the areas of law that will need to be taught. But the rider also requires and how it is applied. So a tutor will have to apply this requirement to the expanded content to show the students how they should apply the law. So as you already know, the core component is assessed by 2 externally set exams and an employer set project, all of which will be marked by Pearson. We are restricted to 2 exam series per year, so we've decided on a summer series taking place in May and June and a November series. We strongly advise you do not enter students who are in the first year of their programme into the November series. The core content is 535 guided learning hours, and your students will not be prepared to undertake the core component assessments with only 6 weeks of teaching. Hopefully, you've already taken a look at the scheme of assessment in the specification. We are going to use this section of the specification to look in more detail at the core exams and the employer set project. There are 2 papers, paper 1 and paper 2. Both are 2.5 hours in duration and both worth 90 marks. Each paper is 33% of the total for the core component, the employer set project making up the final third. The marks from both exams are combined and your students must pass overall. If a student does not pass either of their exams, they must resit both exams in a following series. For more information on resits, please see our support video called Assessment Results and Resits. The marks from all 3 assessments will be combined to give an overall mark and graded at A star to E. Both exams follow the same format. The exams draw from the complete core content, element 1 through element 14. The content will be sampled during the lifetime of the qualification. The amount of content from each element depends on the size and importance of that element. We'll now go on to taking a look in a little more detail at the two exams, using the scheme of assessment from the specification. Paper 1 covers elements 1 through to 12. The paper includes short, medium, and extended open response questions. Paper 2 covers elements 3, 4, 5, 7, 13 and 14. Elements 13 and 14 are only covered in this paper. This is the specialist core knowledge and understanding for the legal services technical qualification. The paper includes short, medium and extended open response questions in a similar format to paper 1. The employer set project, or ESP for short, is the third assessment for the core component. It is 33% of the overall core component, worth 90 marks. The outcome of this assessment gets added to the core exams to create the overall grade for the core component. If a student passes the core exams and fails the ESP, they only have to resit the ESP. Again, please see our video on assessment, results and resits. The ESP itself is made up of 6 tasks. Each task has a specific duration of time allocated to it. The assessment window is set by Pearson, and we will look at how the assessments are scheduled within the window in a couple of slides' time. The ESP draws synoptically from the core content and is based around skills. It is assessed via a set of assessment objectives, which we will look at on the next slide. When responding to the project, your students will need to draw on naturally occurring synopticity from the common core content and the specialist pathway content in elements 13 and 14. Your students will be given a realistic set of scenarios and work to complete as part of the project. The format and structure of the ESP will remain the same over the lifetime of the qualification. What will change is the scenario's content and context and the activities within them. All students will take the same ESP in the assessment series. There is no provider adaptation permitted to the project. We will now look at an overview of the specification and consider how this is managed over the 2-year duration of the course. An important element of delivering the T-level is to consider what resources and materials you will need to manage the course effectively. There is no specialist equipment required for the delivery of the core or occupational specialism components. Providers would benefit from a good IT suite with access to office software and the internet, and for students to have regular access to this. Teachers should have qualifications and/or experience in the legal and business sectors, depending on the pathway delivered. It may be that you consider managing delivery across your business and law sectors in your centre, so that the best specialisms can be drawn out for each subject area. It would also be beneficial to consider industry experience where possible, as this will enhance delivery. Teaching will need to be shared across a curriculum team, which together will have the experience and knowledge that spans the breadth of the qualification content and has some experience of teaching to external assessments. As previously mentioned, the employer set project draws synoptically from the content and is based around core skills. It is assessed through a set of assessment objectives as demonstrated on this slide. AO1, plan their approach to meeting the brief. AO2, apply core knowledge and skills as appropriate. AO3, select relevant techniques and resources to meet the brief. AO4, use maths, English and digital skills as appropriate. And AO5, realise a project outcome and review how well the outcome meets the brief. These skills are not hierarchical. Instead, they show the range of skills that will be assessed in the ESP. They will sometimes be addressed in combination. This will depend on the significance of the assessment objective and the requirements of each specific task. For example, AO2, apply knowledge and skills, is really significant. Therefore, it appears multiple times over the overall project. The employer set project is intended to take place in a window set over 3 weeks. This is an indicative timetable that gives a notional view of how the tasks are intended to be organised. It is important to note that these timetables are indicative, and adjustments may be made in live delivery to account for variables such as the changeable dates for Easter and a placement of bank holidays. The assessment window is set by Pearson. The date of the assessment window will be published in the key dates schedule. This is published annually and is located on the Legal Services Technical Qualification website. The Legal Services Technical Qualification is made up of 6 tasks. Each task has a specific duration of time allocated to it. The total time is 14 hours. Most of the tasks will take place at a specific time and time set by Pearson. This is because there are a single set of sources supplied for the task or a single answer. The pre-release is shown here in bold. It can be scheduled by you within the window and allocated by Pearson. The pre-release information will be available to providers to download and be handed out to students before the ESP tasks commence. Your students will be given 1 week to independently research and familiarise themselves with the area of law, with the recommendation of spending no more than 4 hours in total carrying out independent research. For more information on assessment, please make sure you attend our Getting Ready to Assess events. So I do hope you found this overview of the specification for the core content useful. We will now consider what other avenues of support are available for you in preparing for delivery of this course. So here are some next steps that we consider important in preparing for the delivery of the course. You should familiarise yourself with the specification and specimen assessment materials. Make sure you receive our monthly T-level e-bulletin by clicking here to sign up, and book on to the Getting Ready to Teach and Getting Ready to Assess training events. It's also important that you watch the admin support videos in our Engagement Hub and make use of the fantastic course materials that we're currently providing to go alongside this course. There are a number of ways that you can contact us, either online, email or post. The most direct method is via the Pearson support portal. But as you can see, there are a number of details on this slide to support you in contacting us. Thank you for listening to this information video. I hope you found it useful. Please remember to take advantage of our Getting Ready to Teach and Getting Ready to Assess events. And don't forget to sign up to receive our monthly T-level e-bulletin. Wishing you the best of luck with the delivery of the new technical qualification in legal services.